Amanda had always known the meaning of hard work and perseverance. Growing up in a small, cluttered home, she was surrounded by the constant hum of her parents' efforts to make ends meet. The house, though cramped and filled with an assortment of worn-out furniture, was a sanctuary of love and dreams. Amanda's parents, despite their financial struggles, had managed to create an environment rich in affection and hope. Her mother, a tireless woman with warm eyes and a kind smile, worked long hours at a local diner. Each day, she would come home with aching feet but a heart full of stories and lessons for Amanda. Her father, a man of few words but boundless determination, balanced multiple jobs, from driving a cab to working at a factory. Their lives were a testament to resilience and the belief that hard work would pave the way to a better future. Amanda absorbed these values, internalizing the belief that she, too, could carve out a brighter path. Her dreams took flight in the modest confines of their home, nurtured by the love and sacrifices of her parents. She envisioned a future where her family's struggles would be a distant memory, replaced by comfort and security. These dreams were shared in whispered conversations with Marcus, her high school sweetheart. They would sit on the worn-out sofa in Amanda's living room, their hands intertwined, and talk for hours about their future. Marcus, with his infectious optimism and unwavering support, became the co-architect of Amanda's dreams. They painted vivid pictures of a happy life together, filled with love, success, and the promise of better days. As time passed, Amanda's determination only grew stronger. She excelled in school, knowing that education was her ticket out of their financial struggles. Every achievement, no matter how small, was a step closer to the future she envisioned. Marcus was always by her side, cheering her on and sharing in her victories. Yet, the journey was not without its challenges. The weight of their financial burdens often cast a shadow over their dreams. There were days when the strain was palpable, when the exhaustion in her parents' eyes was a stark reminder of the obstacles they faced. But Amanda held onto the belief that their hard work would eventually pay off. In the quiet moments of the night, when the house was still and the world outside seemed distant, Amanda would lie awake, thinking about the life she wanted to build. She dreamed of a home filled with laughter, of a career that brought fulfillment, and of a love that endured through all hardships. These dreams, nurtured by the love and sacrifices of her parents, became her guiding light. As Amanda and Marcus stood on the threshold of adulthood, ready to step into the world beyond their small town, they carried with them the lessons of resilience and the promise of a brighter future. Their journey was just beginning, and despite the uncertainties ahead, they faced it with hope and determination, knowing that together they could overcome any challenge. And so, in that small, cluttered home, filled with love and dreams, Amanda's story began. A story of perseverance, love, and the unwavering belief in a better tomorrow. On the day of Amanda and Marcus's wedding, the sun shone brightly, casting a golden hue over the beautifully decorated venue. Friends and family gathered, their faces beaming with joy and hope for the newlyweds. Amanda, radiant in her elegant white gown, felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness as she walked down the aisle towards Marcus, her high school sweetheart. Marcus, looking dashing in his tailored suit, stood waiting with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. The ceremony went off without a hitch, filled with heartfelt vows and promises of eternal love. As they exchanged rings and sealed their union with a kiss, the crowd erupted in applause, believing they were witnessing the start of a fairy tale. But as the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, the initial euphoria of the wedding began to fade, revealing cracks beneath the surface of their relationship. Marcus's behavior, once attentive and loving, grew increasingly controlling. He questioned Amanda's every move, his jealousy flaring at the slightest hint of her independence. The once harmonious relationship turned into a battleground, with Marcus's insecurities manifesting as accusations and criticisms. Amanda, who had always been strong-willed, found herself walking on eggshells, trying to avoid triggering Marcus's temper. Their home, which should have been a sanctuary of love and comfort, became a place of tension and fear. Amanda's dreams of a happy life with Marcus seemed to slip further away with each passing day. The joy they had shared in their youth was overshadowed by the toxic environment that now enveloped them. One evening, amidst the turmoil, Amanda discovered she was pregnant. A wave of mixed emotions washed over her. The news brought a glimmer of joy and hope, but it also intensified the already volatile situation. She hoped the baby might bring them closer, rekindle the love they once shared. But Marcus's reaction was far from what she had envisioned. Instead of celebrating the new life they had created, his controlling nature worsened. He became more possessive, constantly monitoring her actions and questioning her loyalty. As Amanda's pregnancy progressed, so did the conflicts. Moments of joy and anticipation for the baby's arrival were overshadowed by Marcus's unpredictable moods and irrational jealousy. Amanda found solace in the moments when she felt the baby move inside her, a reminder of the new life she was nurturing. But those moments were fleeting, drowned out by the incessant arguments and accusations from Marcus. The couple's friends and family, who had once celebrated their union, began to notice the strain in their relationship. Amanda's once bright and cheerful demeanor dimmed, replaced by a weariness that spoke volumes. She confided in a few close friends, but the shame and guilt of their deteriorating relationship kept her from fully opening up. She felt trapped, torn between her love for Marcus and the need to protect herself and her unborn child. As the months went by, Amanda's resolve grew stronger. She knew she couldn't continue living in such a toxic environment, especially with a baby on the way. The safety and well-being of her child became her primary concern. She began to quietly make plans, seeking advice from trusted friends and researching options for support. The final straw came one night when an argument escalated to a point of no return. Marcus's rage was uncontrollable, and Amanda feared for her safety and that of her unborn child. With tears streaming down her face, she made a decision that would change the course of her life. She packed a few belongings, clutching her belly protectively, and left their home in the dead of night, leaving behind a note explaining her decision. Amanda's journey was far from over, but she had taken the first step towards a better future for herself and her baby. The road ahead would be challenging, filled with uncertainty and struggle, but she was determined to create a safe and loving environment for her child. As she walked away from the life she had known, she held on to the hope that one day she would find the happiness and peace she deserved. In the quiet stillness of the night, Amanda found strength in her decision. She knew that leaving Marcus was not the end, but the beginning of a new chapter in her life, one where she could rebuild and find her true self. With each step she took, she moved closer to a future filled with hope, resilience, and the unwavering love of a mother for her child. In the quiet stillness of the night, Amanda moved with a sense of urgency, her heart pounding in her chest. The faint glow of the moonlight illuminated the small room, casting shadows that seemed to dance with her as she hurriedly packed a few essential belongings into a worn duffel bag. The room, once filled with dreams and hopes, now felt like a prison, suffocating her with memories of a love turned toxic. Amanda's hands trembled as she carefully folded her baby's clothes, the soft fabric absorbing the tears that streamed down her face. Each tear carried the weight of her shattered dreams and the pain of a love that had become a source of fear and anguish. Her baby, cradled tightly in her arms, seemed to sense her distress, gazing up at her with wide, innocent eyes. The decision to leave Marcus had not come easily. She had clung to the hope that things would change, that the man she had once loved deeply would return. But with each passing day, his controlling behavior and jealousy had only grown worse, casting a dark shadow over their lives. The joy of discovering she was pregnant had been quickly overshadowed by the escalating tensions between them. Amanda knew that staying meant risking not only her own well-being, but also that of her baby. She had to be strong for both of them. The safety and future of her child were now her paramount concern, outweighing the fear of the unknown that lay ahead. She had to escape, to find a place where they could start anew, free from the chains of a toxic relationship. Her mind raced as she mentally checked off the items she needed to bring. A few clothes, some diapers, and a small stash of money she had secretly saved over the past few months. She couldn't take much, but she knew she had to leave something behind, a note, an explanation for Marcus, a sliver of hope for a better future. With a heavy heart, Amanda sat down at the small, cluttered desk in the corner of the room. She took out a piece of paper and began to write, her hand shaking as she poured her emotions onto the page. The words flowed from her heart, each sentence a testament to the love that once was and the fear that now dominated her life. "Marcus," she wrote, "I never imagined our lives would come to this. I loved you deeply, and I still do. But I can no longer stay in a place where fear and control overshadow the love we once shared. Our baby deserves a life filled with safety, happiness, and hope. I am leaving because I must protect our child and myself. I hope you can understand and find it in your heart to forgive me. I believe in a better future for all of us, even if it means we must walk different paths. Amanda." Amanda folded the note carefully, placing it on the bed where Marcus would find it. She took one last look around the room, the memories of their life together flashing before her eyes. The laughter, the tears, the promises, they all seemed like distant echoes now. Clutching her baby tightly, she took a deep breath and stepped out into the cool night air. The world outside felt vast and intimidating, but also filled with possibilities. Each step she took away from the house was a step toward freedom, a step toward a future where she and her child could thrive. As she walked down the dimly lit street, the tears continued to flow, but there was also a sense of relief, a glimmer of hope that began to take root in her heart. She had made the hardest decision of her life, but it was a decision that held the promise of a better tomorrow. Amanda knew that the journey ahead would be challenging, filled with uncertainties and obstacles. But she also knew that she had the strength to face whatever came her way. She had the love of her child, the support of her friends, and the resilience that had been instilled in her by her hard-working parents. With each step, she carried the lessons of her past, the dreams of her future, and the unwavering determination to create a life of safety, happiness, and hope for her and her baby. The road ahead was long, but Amanda was ready to walk it, one step at a time, toward the promise of a brighter future. Amanda arrived at Mia's small apartment in the early hours of the morning, her arms aching from the weight of her baby and the few belongings she had managed to carry. The dim hallway light cast long shadows on the worn carpet, and Amanda hesitated for a moment before knocking gently on the door. The sound seemed impossibly loud in the stillness of the night, echoing her heart's frantic beats. It didn't take long for the door to swing open, revealing Mia's concerned face. Without a word, Mia enveloped Amanda in a warm embrace, careful not to jostle the sleeping baby. The cramped apartment, though far from luxurious, instantly felt like a sanctuary. Amanda could feel the tension in her shoulders start to ease, even as the weight of her situation pressed heavily on her mind. The apartment was small, with barely enough room for Mia's modest belongings. The living room doubled as a bedroom, a faded couch serving as Mia's bed. A tiny kitchen nook held a single table and two mismatched chairs. Despite the lack of space, Mia had made it her own, with colorful throw pillows and a few potted plants that added a touch of life to the otherwise plain room. Amanda settled onto the couch, cradling her baby close. The exhaustion of the past few days, the sleepless nights, and the constant worry began to catch up with her. Mia busied herself making tea, her movements quiet and efficient. The familiar sounds and smells of Mia's apartment brought a wave of nostalgia and comfort. This was the friend who had always been there for her, through thick and thin. As Amanda sipped the warm tea, she couldn't help but feel a pang of guilt and shame. She had always prided herself on being strong, on being able to handle whatever life threw at her. Yet here she was, relying on Mia's kindness and generosity. The thought gnawed at her, and she struggled to push it aside. Mia, sensing Amanda's turmoil, gave her a reassuring smile. She didn't need to say anything. Her presence was enough to remind Amanda that she wasn't alone. The two friends sat in companionable silence, the baby nestled between them. The room was filled with an unspoken understanding, a bond forged through years of friendship and shared experiences. In the days that followed, Amanda began to adjust to her new reality. The small apartment became a haven, a place where she could catch her breath and gather her strength. Mia's unwavering support was a lifeline, providing not only a roof over her head, but also the emotional encouragement she desperately needed. Despite the challenges of living in such close quarters, the two women made it work. They fell into a routine, each day blending into the next. Mia would leave for work early in the morning, and Amanda would spend her days caring for her baby, finding solace in the simple tasks of feeding, changing, and soothing her child. However, the shame of her situation never fully left Amanda. She often found herself staring out the small window, lost in thought. She wondered how she had ended up here, how her dreams of a happy life with Marcus had crumbled so completely. The memories of their early days together, filled with love and hope, seemed like a distant dream. The reality of their toxic relationship and her subsequent escape was a stark contrast. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the room, Amanda allowed herself to reflect on her journey. She thought about her parents, who had worked tirelessly to provide for her, instilling in her the values of hard work and perseverance. She thought about the nights she had spent studying, dreaming of a brighter future. She thought about Marcus and the love that had turned into something unrecognizable. But most of all, she thought about her baby, the tiny life she was now responsible for. The thought of her child's future gave Amanda a renewed sense of purpose. She knew that she couldn't stay in Mia's apartment forever. She needed to find a way to stand on her own 2 feet, to build a life for herself and her baby. With Mia's encouragement, Amanda began to explore her options. She reached out to local shelters and support groups, seeking resources for single mothers. She started to look for work, determined to provide for her baby and regain her independence. Each step forward, no matter how small, was a victory, a testament to her resilience and strength. The journey was far from easy. There were days when the weight of her responsibilities felt overwhelming, when the future seemed uncertain and frightening. But in those moments, Amanda reminded herself of the love she had for her child, the unwavering support of her best friend, and the strength that had carried her this far. As the weeks turned into months, Amanda began to see the light at the end of the tunnel. She found a part-time job that allowed her to balance work and childcare. She connected with other single mothers, forming a network of support and camaraderie. Slowly but surely, she started to rebuild her life. Through it all, Mia remained a constant source of support and encouragement. The small apartment, once a temporary refuge, had become a symbol of friendship and resilience. Amanda knew that she still had a long way to go, but she also knew that she wasn't alone. In the quiet moments, as she watched her baby sleep, Amanda allowed herself to dream again. She dreamed of a future where she and her child could thrive, where they could build a life filled with love and hope. And with each passing day, she took another step towards making that dream a reality. Amanda was a whirlwind of motion, moving seamlessly from one job to another, her exhaustion hidden behind a determined facade. Each day began before dawn, her alarm clock piercing through the thin veil of sleep she managed to grasp. Her first job was at a bustling diner on the edge of the city. The smell of coffee and sizzling bacon greeted her as she tied her apron and began her shift. Her movements were precise, her smile unwavering, despite the aching in her feet and the fatigue gnawing at her bones. The customers varied from kind regulars to those who barely acknowledged her presence. Some days were harder than others, especially when she encountered those who hurled racial slurs or sexist remarks. Each insult was a dagger, but she kept her head high, focusing on the image of her baby's face, the reason behind her relentless drive. After the diner, she would rush to her second job as an office cleaner. The building was tall and imposing, with glass doors that reflected her weary expression. She would change into her cleaning uniform, the smell of disinfectant filling her nostrils as she scrubbed floors and emptied trash bins. The work was solitary, giving her time to think, but thoughts often turned heavy, weighed down by the constant struggle to make ends meet. Her hands moved in repetitive motions, wiping away the grime and residue left behind by others, her mind drifting to her baby. She worried constantly about the future, about whether she was doing enough. The weight of responsibility pressed on her shoulders, but she pushed through, driven by an unyielding love for her child. Evenings found her at her final job, working as a clerk at a convenience store. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, and the monotony of scanning items and handling cash was a stark contrast to the chaos of the diner and the solitude of cleaning. Here, she faced a different set of challenges. Customers were often in a hurry, some impatient, others downright rude. She encountered more instances of discrimination, moments that left her feeling small and insignificant. Yet, she remained steadfast, her determination a shield against the hostility. Balancing 3 jobs was an immense physical and emotional strain. The toll it took on her was visible in the dark circles under her eyes, the way her shoulders slumped when she thought no one was watching. She rarely had time to rest, her days a blur of work and worry. But amidst the fatigue and the discrimination, her resolve never wavered. She was doing this for her baby, for the hope of a better future. At night, when she finally returned to Mia's cramped apartment, her baby would be asleep, tiny fists curled and face peaceful. Amanda would sit beside the crib, exhaustion washing over her, but her heart would swell with love. She would watch her child sleep, the innocence and purity a stark contrast to the harsh world she faced each day. Mia's support was a lifeline, a beacon of hope in the darkness. Despite the cramped space and the challenges they both faced, Mia never hesitated to offer a helping hand or a shoulder to lean on. Amanda felt a deep gratitude, though she struggled with the shame of her situation. She longed for the day when she could stand on her own, provide a stable and loving home for her child without relying on others. Juggling multiple jobs was a relentless grind, a constant battle against fatigue and adversity. But Amanda's spirit was unbreakable. Each day was a testament to her strength, her unwavering commitment to her child. She endured the racial slurs, the gender discrimination, the physical exhaustion, all for the sake of a better future. In the quiet moments before sleep claimed her, she would whisper promises to her baby, vows of a brighter tomorrow. She was determined to rise above the challenges, to carve out a life filled with love and stability. Amanda's journey was far from over, but with each passing day, she grew stronger, her resolve hardening like steel. Her story was one of resilience, a testament to the power of a mother's love and the unyielding human spirit. Despite the hardships and the discrimination, Amanda pushed forward, her eyes set on the horizon, where hope and a better future awaited. After another grueling shift at the convenience store, Amanda wiped her brow and took a deep breath, exhaustion settling into her bones. The neon lights outside flickered as the last customer left, leaving the store quiet and dimly lit. She glanced at the clock on the wall, counting the minutes until she could go home to her baby. The thought of her child gave her a momentary boost of energy, and she began to tidy up the counter and straighten the shelves. Mr. Thompson, her manager, entered the store and locked the door behind him. His presence always made Amanda uneasy, but she had learned to keep her head down and focus on her work. Tonight, however, there was something different in the air, a tension that made her skin prickle with unease. As she moved towards the stockroom to put away some supplies, she heard Mr. Thompson's footsteps following closely behind. Her heart began to race, but she tried to ignore the rising fear. She told herself she was just being paranoid. Yet, when she entered the stockroom and turned around, she found him standing in the doorway, blocking her exit. The small room suddenly felt even more confining. He stepped closer, his eyes locking onto hers with an intensity that sent a shiver down her spine. He began to speak, his voice low and menacing, making it clear that her job depended on her compliance with his unspoken demands. Amanda's stomach churned with a mix of fear and disgust as he inched nearer, invading her personal space. The humiliation of the situation weighed heavily on her, and she felt her legs begin to tremble. For a moment, she was paralyzed by fear, her mind flooded with thoughts of losing her job and the consequences it would have for her and her baby. But then, a surge of courage welled up within her, a fierce determination not to let this man take advantage of her. With a sudden burst of strength, Amanda pushed Mr. Thompson away, her hands shaking as she made contact with his chest. The look of surprise and anger on his face was fleeting as she darted past him, her heart pounding in her chest. She bolted out of the stockroom and ran through the store, her breath coming in ragged gasps. Flinging open the door, Amanda stumbled into the cool night air, her mind reeling from what had just happened. She didn't stop running until she was a safe distance away, her body trembling with adrenaline and fear. Tears streamed down her face as she tried to process the incident, the weight of the encounter settling heavily on her shoulders. The walk home was a blur, her thoughts consumed by the violation she had just experienced and the deep scar it left on her soul. By the time she reached her apartment, she felt a mixture of relief and dread. Relief that she had escaped, but dread at the thought of what might happen next. She knew she couldn't let this break her, but the emotional toll was overwhelming. That night, Amanda lay in bed, clutching her baby close as silent tears slipped down her cheeks. The incident with Mr. Thompson replayed in her mind, each detail etched into her memory. She felt a profound sense of betrayal and vulnerability, but amidst the sorrow, there was also a spark of resolve. She knew she had to protect herself and her child, and that meant finding the strength to keep moving forward despite the trauma. The days that followed were challenging. Amanda returned to work. Her interactions with Mr. Thompson now tinged with a new level of wariness and distrust. She noticed the way he watched her, his eyes filled with unspoken threats. Yet, she refused to let her fear show. She held her head high, determined not to let him see how deeply he had affected her. The incident left Amanda scarred, but it also ignited a fire within her, a drive to stand up for herself and to ensure that no one would ever have the power to make her feel that way again. She knew that her journey was far from over, but she was resolute in her determination to rise above the challenges and to provide a better life for her child. As she navigated the days and weeks that followed, Amanda found strength in the small moments of joy and love she shared with her baby. These moments became her anchor, a reminder of what she was fighting for. She continued to work tirelessly, juggling her multiple jobs and facing each day with a renewed sense of purpose. Though the scars from the incident with Mr. Thompson would always remain, Amanda's resilience and courage shone through. She was determined to reclaim her sense of self and to forge a path forward, one step at a time. The road ahead was uncertain, but Amanda knew she had the strength to face whatever challenges came her way. Fueled by the love and hope she held for her future and that of her child, Amanda sat at her small wooden desk, the only piece of furniture in her tiny room that provided any semblance of stability. The room was dimly lit, with the faint glow of the streetlights seeping through the thin curtains. It was late at night, and the silence was punctuated only by the soft hum of her laptop and the occasional rustle of leaves outside. Her daughter slept soundly in the crib beside her, a small comfort in the midst of her turbulent life. Amanda's fingers hovered over the keyboard, hesitant at first, but then she began to type. Her words flowed onto the screen, each keystroke a release of the pent-up emotions and traumas that had been weighing her down. She wrote about her childhood, the loving but struggling home she grew up in, the dreams she shared with Marcus, and the toxic relationship that had ensnared her. She poured out her heart, recounting the decision to leave, the refuge she found with Mia, and the relentless grind of juggling multiple jobs. The memories were painful, but with each word, Amanda felt a bit of the burden lift. Writing became her sanctuary, a place where she could process her experiences and make sense of the chaos that had consumed her life. She wrote about the incident with Mr. Thompson, the fear and humiliation she had felt, and the strength it took to push him away. She wrote about the nights she felt utterly alone, the moments of doubt and despair, and the glimmers of hope that kept her going. Amanda shared her stories anonymously online, finding solace in the act of putting her thoughts into words. At first, her posts went unnoticed, lost in the vast sea of the internet. But slowly, they began to gain traction. People started to read her stories, and they resonated with others who had faced similar struggles. Comments began to pour in, words of encouragement and solidarity from strangers who had walked their own difficult paths. She found herself spending more nights at the desk, the glow of her laptop becoming a beacon of hope in the darkness. The community she found online became a source of support, a virtual network of individuals who understood her pain and offered their empathy. Amanda realized that she was not alone, that there were countless others who had faced abuse, discrimination, and hardship. Her writing became a lifeline, not just for herself, but for those who read her words and found comfort in knowing they were not alone. As her posts gained popularity, Amanda began to receive messages from readers who shared their own stories. They thanked her for her bravery, for giving a voice to their own silent struggles. Some shared their triumphs, others their ongoing battles, but all of them found a connection in Amanda's words. The act of writing, once a solitary endeavor, became a powerful tool for building a community of resilience and hope. Amanda's confidence grew with each post. She began to see herself not just as a survivor, but as a storyteller, someone who could use her experiences to inspire and uplift others. Her words became a testament to her strength, a declaration that she would not be defined by her past, but by the courage it took to overcome it. Writing gave her a sense of purpose, a way to channel her pain into something meaningful and transformative. Late one night, as Amanda sat at her desk, she received a message from a woman named Sarah. Sarah shared a story that was eerily similar to Amanda's own, recounting a toxic relationship and the struggle to find her footing after leaving. Sarah expressed her gratitude for Amanda's writing, explaining how it had given her the strength to take the first steps toward healing. Amanda read the message with tears in her eyes, overwhelmed by the impact her words had made. In that moment, Amanda realized the true power of her writing. It was more than just a therapeutic outlet. It was a beacon of hope for others who were navigating their own dark times. Her stories had the power to heal, to connect, and to inspire. Amanda felt a renewed sense of purpose, a determination to continue sharing her journey, no matter how difficult it might be. As the months passed, Amanda's writing continued to flourish. She documented her progress, the small victories and the setbacks, the moments of doubt and the bursts of inspiration. Her online following grew, and she began to connect with other writers and advocates who shared her passion for justice and healing. Together, they formed a network of support, each contributing their voice to the collective chorus of resilience and strength. Amanda's daughter grew older, and Amanda found herself sharing stories with her, instilling in her the same values of hard work, hope, and perseverance that her own parents had taught her. She watched with pride as her daughter thrived, a testament to the strength and love that had carried them through the darkest times. Eventually, Amanda's hard work paid off, and she saved enough money to move into a modest apartment. The excitement and relief of having a place to call their own was palpable, and Amanda's confidence soared. She became involved in advocacy groups, speaking out against the injustices she had faced and using her platform to amplify the voices of others. Through her advocacy work, Amanda met David, a kind-hearted man who shared her passion for justice. Their relationship blossomed slowly, built on mutual respect and shared experiences. David provided unwavering support as Amanda continued to heal and grow stronger, and together, they faced the challenges ahead with courage and determination. Amanda's life came full circle as she married David in a heartfelt ceremony, surrounded by friends and family who had witnessed her journey. Her daughter, now older, looked up to her mother with admiration, inspired by her resilience and strength. Amanda's story of transformation and hope was celebrated, a testament to the power of finding solace in writing and the strength to persevere through even the darkest times. Amanda stood in the doorway of her new apartment, the keys still clutched tightly in her hand. It was modest, certainly not luxurious by any means, but it was hers. A sense of accomplishment washed over her as she stepped inside, her daughter in her arms. The living room, though small, felt expansive compared to the cramped quarters she had shared with Mia. The walls were bare, the floors scuffed, but to Amanda, it was perfect. It was a blank canvas upon which she could paint a new life for herself and her daughter. As she set her daughter down, Amanda couldn't help but smile at the little girl's wide-eyed wonder. The baby toddled around the empty space, her laughter echoing off the walls. Amanda's heart swelled with a mixture of joy and relief. They had finally made it. The countless hours spent juggling multiple jobs, the nights filled with tears and exhaustion, had all led to this moment. Every sacrifice had been worth it. Amanda's confidence grew with each passing day. She started to unpack their belongings, each item finding its place in their new home. The process was slow but methodical, each box unpacked a testament to her perseverance. The apartment began to take on a cozy, lived-in feel. Pictures of her family and her daughter adorned the walls, a constant reminder of the love and support that had carried her through the darkest times. With a stable roof over her head, Amanda found herself with more mental and emotional space to think about the future. She began to get involved in local advocacy groups, driven by a desire to speak out against the injustices she had faced. Her writing had given her a voice, and now she was determined to use it. She attended meetings, shared her story, and connected with others who had similar experiences. Her confidence grew with every speech, every article she wrote, and every person who thanked her for her bravery. The apartment became a hub of activity. Advocacy materials and pamphlets were scattered across the kitchen table, and her laptop was rarely closed. Amanda's daughter would sit on the floor, coloring or playing with her toys, while Amanda worked tirelessly to make a difference. The little girl would often look up at her mother with wide, admiring eyes, sensing the importance of the work she was doing even if she didn't fully understand it. Amanda's involvement in advocacy groups brought new opportunities and connections. She met people who inspired her, who had also overcome significant challenges. They shared their stories, their strategies for coping and thriving. Amanda felt a sense of belonging, a community that understood her struggles and celebrated her successes. One evening, as Amanda sat at her kitchen table, her daughter asleep in the next room, she reflected on how far they had come. The apartment, now fully furnished and decorated, felt like a true home. It was a place of safety, of growth, and of new beginnings. Amanda knew there were still challenges ahead, but she felt equipped to face them. She was no longer the scared, desperate woman who had fled in the dead of night. She was strong, resilient, and ready to fight for a better future for herself and her daughter.